Hi everyone, my name is Aimee, and I'm honored to have been asked to share my thoughts on Go Beyond and share with you all how I recently went beyond in my life. So Go Beyond to me means that you're living a life beyond your own limits. It means that you're constantly striving to achieve the life that you want for yourself, pushing out of your comfort zone. So you know, we all kind of have our status quo in our own normal state of affairs, which is good. We need some semblance of order. But I noticed that for me, that can quickly turn into complacency, and I get content, and I stir, and I get bored, and trouble sets in. I'm sure many of you can relate. I often turn to very destructive behaviors to satisfy that need for excitement in my life. So last winter, things were bad. I was in a bad spot. I wouldn't even call it status quo. It was just bad. Everything was out of order. And I get this email congratulating me for winning a spot in the New York City Marathon. And I forgot I had entered myself in a lottery a few months prior. And I laughed. And then I just thought to myself, you know what? This could be the catalyst. This could be the thing that gets me to where I need to be in my life right now. Provide the focus and structure that I so desperately needed at that point. Give me something that would allow me to start believing in myself again, become that person that I know I am inside, and also provide a healthy way to push boundaries, because that's another thing of mine that tends to get me into a lot of trouble. I have a tendency to push limits and boundaries, and when you're doing that in the wrong direction, things get bad. So the marathon was a very, very healthy way to push limits in my life. So I made the commitment. It was 6 months. And it was amazing. Creating a schedule and a plan and sticking to it every day allowed me to do that in every other aspect of my life. So in that 6 months of training, everything else slowly started to fall into order because I had this commitment and this structure. So it was the best thing I could have done for myself at that time. You know, it just bled into everything else in a good way. But one of the challenges I noticed right off the bat was that I was putting way too much pressure on myself, and it was quickly becoming a source of unnecessary stress and anxiety. So that's kind of a word of caution, I guess. If you're setting a goal for yourself or some big endeavor, you have to make sure that you don't put so much pressure to achieve it, because then it backfires. So at least that's what I was doing with this. And so I realized that. I took a step back and I said, you know what, this isn't the Olympics I'm training for. You know, this is just for me. And so I didn't set a time goal or a time limit. My goal was just to cross the finish line. And that changed the dynamic of it for me. And it became a lot of fun. And another thing that I would say is that some of my favorite memories are not just crossing the finish line, but the journey. Like, in the middle of the summer, I remember I hit my 13-mile run, and it was just amazing. I just took that in and just realized this is happening, and I'm on this journey. And that memory is almost just as satisfying, maybe if not more, than the memory of crossing the finish line. You know, somebody had once told me to make sure that you value the journey more than the goal. And I think that's very important, because it allows you to enjoy every second. And so another thing, I look back on the whole process and I realized just how much of all of that training was parallel to my recovery. You know, there was many days that I was sitting on the couch and I was in pain or tired, or I just wanted to hang out. I didn't want to go for the run. And I feel that way sometimes in my recovery. You know, I just simply, some days I don't feel like it. I just want to take the day off. And I realized that in those moments, when you're feeling weak, not particularly strong, that's when you really have to learn how to just shut down your mind. You have to take control of your mind and your brain and ignore all of those thoughts. They might be going on still, but you just ignore them. You know that you're in control and you focus on the task at hand. You know, because those same voices that doubted I was going to cross the finish line are the same voices that will take me out of my recovery. You know, those are the same voices that would have had me jumping on the 4 train during the race. You know, they're going to derail you. So that was like one of the really big pluses. I learned how to ally with myself. I learned how to really trust myself and take control and ignore all of the doubts. another thing I want to add is going beyond doesn't just pertain to me and my life. It means that you're going beyond for other people. Part of what makes me whole is when I'm caring for and taking care of people around me. So about 6 weeks ago, I decided to run for a charity. And I looked into it. There's like 300 that ran, and there was only a couple for addiction. And I just thought to myself, wow, this could be such an opportunity. You know, such an opportunity for me to help create awareness right now of addiction, especially considering how bad it is right now. And so I called up an organization called Shatterproof, and they were happy to have me. I created a small fundraising goal. I reached out to my world, like on Facebook and Instagram, and just said, you know, for those of you that don't know, I'm a proud person living in recovery, and I'm running the marathon to break the stigma. And I have to say that was one of the best decisions I ever made, because when I wore that shirt on race day that said I'm running to break the stigma, it was just amazing and incredible, and just an absolute amazing way to go beyond. You know, when you're doing something for the greater good, it adds tenfold to the experience. So if you ask how would I inspire others to go beyond or encourage others to go beyond, I would first say that as addicts and alcoholics living in recovery, we already know what it is to go beyond. We are going beyond. Every day we stay sober, we go beyond. So I would say that just add to that momentum. You know, we already we're very acquainted with our struggles and our personal battles, and we got ourselves to rehab. We went to Mountainside. You know, so you just continue to just set those goals and try to move forward. And if you move back, listen, I've had many steps backwards, and you can't let that throw your life off. You know, you can't quit. Many times I wanted to, but the bottom line was I always knew I was committed to staying sober, and that's how I got through those points. But I would just say failing sometimes and falling behind it sucks, but it's only going to make you stronger, as they say. And you know, I just encourage everybody to surprise themselves, set goals that you didn't think you were capable of, because listen, I never thought I would run a marathon. That's a joke. If you asked any of my coaches when I was a kid if there's anybody on the team that was going to run a marathon, I think I'd be the last one they'd pick. So I really surprised myself, and it has permeated and it's permeated all aspects of my life. So thank you for listening, and I'm honored to have shared this with you all.